Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's A-R-A-E-L.
From the future, by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are moving into the 76th show of the Andronicus, the Andronicus transmissions, and I believe we have more than 76, but this is the 76th transmission from Andronicus in particular. There was a few of them that a few weeks that we didn't have a transmission from him. So anyhow, there's a lot going on today, and as usual, in our ever-changing world, we have the inauguration coming up tomorrow. I have a guest on today, which is James Rink, and he does Super Soldier Talk on YouTube, and many of you have seen or heard of him, and have been on his show before, and he has some information to share with you at the end of the show. Or actually at 3 o'clock, or halfway through the show. I'll say it like that because this is 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we are also, sending out prayers for Standing Rock and whatever's happening out there. I know that has been a difficult winter for them, and as well as some other locations and those that are trying to support and help out. So we continue to keep them in our prayers. And keep the vision of clean water, clean earth, clean planet as something that should be in the forefront of whatever we're doing for life-sustaining and thriving for many generations ahead. Also, I want to remind you on a lighter note, we do have the Andronicus transmissions YouTube private group on Facebook. If you are interested in joining, Ches will be more than happy to help you. This is she also is known as Cheryl Bain, and she is going to be administrating that, and she may put in another link. We also have a sheet that reveals all of the symbols that were created by Andronicus gave to me, and there are various forms of them, so you can use them as a point of contact for the highest potential for humanity moving forward. We have one of them that is a basic symbol, another one that moves in 4 directions for those of you that like the modality of keeping energy moving in 4 directions. Another one is a reminder to extraterrestrials that we have our birthright here on the planet, and that they're not to interfere with our reality, and especially those that have intent. And let's see. And then there's another symbol that's open-ended for those that want to hold the vibration of many possibilities, unlimited possibilities. And so those will be available to you as well. Ches did a wonderful job in putting them together for me. I got the symbols, but she did the graphics for it, so it came out beautiful. Also sending out gratitude and love to Olivia, who has been instrumental in putting together a website. Feel free to visit the website at Wolf Spirit Radio in the Andronicus transmissions. And as we, commonly call it, the Clandronicus, because it's a group, it's a collective. So, and feel free to join. And even if you don't want to join and actually be entrenched in it, just if you want to talk and ask questions and lighter or even heavy conversation, you're welcome to do so in the private group. I would make it public, but most people don't fully understand unless they're listening to the series. So we'll just keep it so it's also a safe environment for people to feel like they can express what they want to without, it's a non-judgment zone, of course. So JP, how are you today?
Well, like I said, I didn't wake up with the greatest of feelings, and it's like I'm doing my best to get into a good kind of thankful, happy mood. But you told me that there may be some obstacles to that, so or that may have been something consciously caused. Do you want to talk about that now?
Sure. I was informed by some wonderful people that there's a possibility that there may be some scalar energy going through our media waves today, in particular, probably to try to immobilize or subtly subdue the masses during this inauguration or whatever else that's going on. But to not be, to try to ask for clarity and whatever else is going on in your mind, that you can always keep in sync with your highest, your higher self, with the truth of what you know, rather than having any type of mind control elements coming in. So just create blocks and obstacles regarding those elements. If you have to work in front of a computer, if you have to be in a place where the media is playing, I recommend not playing a radio, which I know, play a CD maybe instead. I don't know. Just some other options where that the mind control, I guess it comes through all the time, but in particular it's supposed to be heavier waves today. So, just as a reminder. JB, can you take over for 1 second? I'm going to just close the door.
Meanwhile, as Jessica walks across the room to close the door. So, yeah, what's been going on? It's a kind of thick, heavy, soupy kind of atmosphere, but I think 600 milligrams of aspirin BP is going to do the trick. I think it has already started to cut in.
Yeah. Did you take your vitamin D?
Yeah, I literally threw. No, these vitamin D tabs I've got are like 5,000 IUs, right? They're like a whole daily, 5 times the recommended daily dose in one pill. And I just threw a whole handful of those, like about 8 of them down my throat. So I thought that should do it. So it's kind of I'm getting up to my regular sunny personality again.
Yay!
Hey,
we like sunny.
Solar! I won't be so, we're either solar or we're lunar. We're either, radiating, being like a star, radiating, or we're reflecting, like the moon. You see, we're either solar or lunar. So
today we're reflecting. We're reflecting and radiating, and we're going to neutralize any effort to interfere with our etheric space.
Oh yeah. Hey, did you see that? Craig just put it in the chat room. There was a wave on Venus. The whole Venus went. Have you seen this?
When was that?
Yesterday.
Well, did it have anything to do with mentioning that there's gold on Venus? That's what Kent Dunn said.
Yeah, that's right. It looked particularly golden, but it looked, like if you have, let me try and think of an analogy, something that is, it's very delicate. It's a bit like a souffle. Yeah, you take you know what a souffle is, you like meringue.
Yes.
All right, you take some meringue, you've made some meringue and it's soft, and you blow on it. It will put a dent in it, yeah? And that's exactly what Venus looks like. It looks like somebody's blown, to it. So, there we go.
So you think that's a good thing?
I don't know what it is. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. I'd like to welcome all of the new listeners. We now have considerably more listeners than we had when we started doing the Andronicus transmissions.
Yes.
And I'd like to thank Rhodan and all his people for bringing them to us. So, good on you. They're good. They make good guests.
Rhodan, Andronicus, Meetis, Borkum, and all the
crew.
the different visitors. Yeah, and then the random ones. Dryden. Dryden's actually on again today.
Yeah.
By the way, he's back. And he explained something interesting, so you might look forward to hearing what he has to say.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we should just get right in there because we want to have plenty of time for James Rink to talk.
Sure we do. So let's just get over to Microsoft Word. Where are you? Okay, so who first?
Let's see. Let me ask for a moment. I'm feeling Andronicus is first.
Since it's his show, we should
let him. Wait a minute.
Huh?
Yeah.
News coming in.
Show.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. I was in a deep meditation when I went forward into a future event where I was taken onto a lunar base. They called the base Tarnatha. I could feel the earth underneath me like a pottery substance, similar to the perceived lunar surface. Then a portal opened up, and I stepped into a hidden reality where a magnificent city thrived. The rolling landscape of a magnificent architecture had all the signatures of a futuristic paradise. Everything was in white, with rolling structures suspended in the sky or seemingly lifted from the ground, but quite connected to the surface. My eyes gazed upon a young boy, a young troubled boy with dark black hair that went down to his shoulders and bangs. He had a look of desolation. There were tall, strange-looking beings walking around him that were quite strong, military-looking, and hybrid humanoid. Then I noticed Andronicus standing beside me. I asked him, "What year is this?"
It is 2855.
2855? We're in the future? Is this the lunar surface?
Yes, it is. You have been brought forward in time to prevent a very bad problem with Mars.
Is that Mars?
Oh, sorry.
The young boy.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was the young boy who was speaking. Right, no, Andronicus is his normal thing. Sorry, I was doing Andronicus as a boy. Right, sorry, misinterpretation. Can we just wind that back a little bit? And he said,
I asked him, "What year is this?" And he said,
"It's 2855.
2855? We are in the future? Is this the lunar surface?"
Yes, it is. You've been brought forward in time to prevent a very bad problem with Mars.
Is that Mars? The young boy?
Yes, he's age regressed. This is what they do when they're not happy with their society. They hide and will not engage.
Why am I here? To help him?
He needs a mother with compassion and kindness. The beings here are too strong and insensitive.
Tell me, what should I do?
We will take an aspect of you and have him raise him until he is content and at peace.
I would like to do that. Will I be safe? And is this a safe way to not become fractured in any way?
We know now how to conduct these matters without any harm. Besides, you are equipped for these type of missions. All are in agreement with this because they know what he is capable of doing if he is not properly attended to. We've tried many scenarios, but none of the other women were able to change his perspective. Whenever we bring you in, he is able to release the anger and move on. It is the only way. We are sorry to bother you. The other women take the glory and power, and you are there to pick up the pieces in the end. And we see your frustration. This is the last mission of this type that you will be on. There is a process of elimination, and it has been satisfied and fulfilled. Many will be found wanting and lacking if this is not resolved. It will be a minor sacrifice compared to the other missions you have not been aware of. Hear me. The counterfeits have exposed themselves. They were never a part of our existence as much as they tried. The Archons will not win in the end, and all those connected to them will be in a difficult situation. It is now time to separate without repercussions. It's not a punishment, it's just the great separation from the primary source of existence. They've been threatening to take down humanity with them, and we are trying our best to prevent this and ask all to hold intentions of love to all who are presently deceived.
I'll be sure to do that. I've felt the tugging of many who can't seem to move beyond their struggles and beliefs. Hopefully we have more time. So, what happened to Mars?
He was betrayed one too many times and is looking for vengeance. Unfortunately, his perspective is skewed, and other innocent species will be affected. They have called upon us for assistance. They glimpsed into the future and discovered a catastrophe. Oh, God, I can't say today.
Catastrophic.
Yeah. It's all right. It's just like, when you try to turn a corner and your lorry's too wide. You've got to take a wider turn. All right, here we go. They glimpsed into the future and discovered a catastrophic war that took place regarding a conflicting faction. I can't go into the species involved. Much of this cannot be disclosed, or it would endanger many or provide information that could harm so many innocent species. This is what happens. Mars decided to give this society an opportunity of wealth, prosperity, power, and dominion. They sent many soldiers to his complex, and he begins to take over the hyperbelt and Taurian range. Orion stands secure, but the conflict ends up where both Mars and Rhodan are pitted against one another. I don't want to introduce the ending. All suffer. Rhodan asked me specifically to bring you into it. All of what you're experiencing is a result of what the outcome is in this future event. I'm not saying there are not other circumstances that contribute to it, but that is the primary cause of your situation today. If you fully agree to this mission, you will see many things change. Some of the good are being deceived, and some of the bad are leading off good causes. There is a lot of confusion for many right now. Even the informed are confused.
Tell me what I'm supposed to do.
You are to engage with Mars and help him grow into a benevolent being. Show him the love he deserves and is lacking. He is as a young boy now, and is in desperate need of a mother. If you agree, you will be locked into this reality for a while until it is completed. Are you prepared for this?
Well, how will it affect my present life?
Some things will be on hold, and you will not be able to connect to those who are involved with the negative party who manipulates and persuades Mars to create a galactic war. Remember, past, present, and future are all working together in your reality now.
Will I be able to thrive and survive monetarily, or have good communication with friends and family?
None of this will be affected.
Then I saw what looks like a Rosen Bridge portal open up and was sent in. An aspect of me went into the future like a timestamp or an aspect of my essence and sent forward in time. My clothing changed. My hair color was the same, medium blonde. My clothing was a long draping white robe and my hair was pulled up. Mars then approached me and reached out his hand as if he expected and recognized me. And I felt almost as if he requested me to be there. And then the door closed and I couldn't see any more.
You must not go any further to watch. Allow it to happen. It may compromise the mission if you bring this knowledge into the present reality at this time. I've closed now 4 doors and retained the keys to this distinct timeline. None can enter in without my approval.
I keep thinking about the Star Wars story about young Anakin, who later turns into Darth Vader. Is this a story about Mars?
They tried to leak this information into the minds of humanity to readily accept the concept. The belief that a galactic war was necessary and there was a form of justice. What humanity has not learned yet is that most wars were not necessary and could have been dispelled through clarity and communication. I regret this hasn't ended well for many throughout the ages. We are trying to rebuild a new paradigm where humanity embraces peace and harmony as opposed to warfare. And it has been a very long struggle to engage in these matters. So much of history must be re-evaluated to understand the simplest of concepts that a higher consciousness is agreeable to change without destruction. Thank you for your compliance and many blessings to those who have chosen this higher path of perspective and love. You are a unique society and I am happy. I am so happy to be reunited with your journey through this timeline. Be vigilant and hopeful, and we hear you. Okay, Padma.
Okay.
That's right, isn't it? Padma was Anakin's mother.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hang on, wait, I had one. I had Star Wars here. Oh, what was it gone? I have to be much more. What's the word? I haven't got the words. Much more prepared with like all my sound effects in a place where I can find them quickly. It's like I can only see like 10 at a time. Anyway.
Well, who would have thought of Mars being Anakin?
Exactly.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Exactly. Being the god of war.
I was thrown off. Yeah,
because he was such a sweet boy.
Yeah, and the beings walking around were really weird looking. They were definitely humanoid hybrids. And they were tall and sort of, long, their necks were like longer than humans usually have, and very muscular, but kind of lean, tall. The city was magnificent. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. There was one part of the architecture almost looked like a roller coaster. It was really, but it wasn't a roller coaster. It didn't have tracks, but just that kind of wave. And it was white. Everything was white. I didn't see any flying vehicles, but that doesn't mean it didn't exist. And what was really weird is... Well,
you might not need vehicles if you can just teleport everywhere.
That's right. I didn't see any vehicles. I did see that when we first got to the location, the city was invisible. You couldn't see it unless you had access into that, maybe it's a dimensional shift. So, at first I felt like I was just walking on the lunar surface. I could see the dust and everything and then we stepped through like an unseen wall, and before you know it, we were there. And I often wonder, if a lot of people talk about, there's all these civilizations on different planets. People say, well, does the government just hide all of them? And then some people have the belief that, they're all inside, but my opinion is it's at a dimensional shift, that they know how to shift into that dimension of vibration, and that there is actually a city there, in the alternate, I won't say alternate dimension, but maybe it's a higher dimension on that planet.
Or, like Andronicus was saying, time is here and now all the time, and it's a piece of frequency that changes what dimension we're in, and what time we're in, and what space we're in, and all that, and the laws of physics. It just is about frequency. But we always talk about frequency, but my big question still is, what is the thing that's doing the vibrating at these frequencies? You say, your vibration, and I've always been, this is one of the big questions that I still have, after all these years of finding out, what is the thing that is doing the vibrating? Is it my brain? Is it my heart? Is it my liver? Is it, my kidneys? Where is the vibration that I'm supposed to be vibrating? Because, you see it, raise your vibration.
I think it's a pineal gland. I think that's, if I go to trace that in my mind where it would be, it went to the pineal gland, but maybe because that was the meeting point and then it connects to the heart. And I've heard that often, that it's, we're connecting, people think it's the pineal gland and then up through the crown. Maybe it goes from the pineal gland to the heart space, where then you work on the frequency is the atomic or the protons or whatever it is that's start to become more activated, sort of like rebuilding the chi energy that the Eastern world has been talking about for thousands of years, is working with your chi. Your chi is your life force energy, and then getting that to increase in vibration in concert with the heart space and the third eye. And so you're activating yourself to key into an already existing vibration. And that's how you get into that awareness.
I also just put in the chat room, bees levitate.
Yeah, because they radiate levity. They're happy, aren't they? You know, when a bee, there's the thing, you know, when a bee flies past you, oh, little bee, hello bee, you know, especially a bumblebee, you know, how the heck does this thing fly? It doesn't. It levitates, and it's just pushing itself along with the wings. It levitates because it's happy. That's why we like bees. And wasps are angry. Because wasps actually have to push through the air. They've got great big wings. Have you noticed? The difference between a bee and a wasp is like, well, bees got tiny little wings that couldn't possibly lift that great big thing off the ground. They levitate.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
So it's almost like, you know, we are an aspect of this Big Bang or power source that exists. I mean, we can emit a tremendous amount of heat or power. We don't even know what the limitation is on that if it was properly accessed. And, you know, some people have even self-ignited.
Yeah. Well, some people
I don't know how they did that.
Well, probably because they're like, they're contained. They're over-contained, you know, so they can't, express the energy. So it just,
yeah, go nuclear, right?
Yeah.
Remember,
oh God, Heroes. And who was it? Who was it?
No, you know who did that with us was,
one of your people. Yeah.
It's one of your friends from England.
Paul.
The Osiris guy. No.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, folks. Yeah, just my brain. Okay, yeah, Wingman. Wingman
talks about going nuclear. Yeah.
Jesus, what did that happen? Oh, yeah. Oh.
All right.
Yeah. So, just something fell off my desk and hit the enter button of my, of my radio broadcast and did this. It was all an accident, honest. But anyway.
Yeah, it's Wingman.
Yeah, so that was Wingman doing his, I'm just about to explode, bang, I've just exploded.
Well, I don't think we always explode, but I know that the ancient, the Tibetans and some of the masters, have learned to keep their body warm enough even in the most coldest conditions. And mind over matter with a lot of things. And it's not just, like you said, well, I'm just going to think it into existence. They actually create this environment where they have more connection to their life force energy and then start engaging with an already existing power source, you know. Yeah. Like Andronicus talked about how we can harness hydrogen from just the air and, you know, create free energy. I think we can even tap into that physically and, you know, using our own life force energy and like kind of plugging in somehow and creating, you know, some unlimited possibilities. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. And it's, a lot of this is the ancient arts.
Yeah. And this is what we're here to rediscover, because we've been talking about these 10 strands and the 12 strands and all this stuff and activating all those strands. And then what? Once we've you know, it's like, okay, I've just built the car. Where do we go? Like, that's the next stage, is like, you know, now we got this, what do we do with it? So, you know, we've activated these strands. Now what possible use can we put these to? And I think the uses often come towards us, and, you know, a problem or an issue comes to us. You know, people come to you with problems and people come to me with problems, and we get an insight or a glimpse from our DNA strands. That's how we, you know, because you and I have maybe worked on it and they're a little more activated, then we can access that energy and give our clients the frequency that they need to, as you say, tune into, to tap into. And it's, getting your pineal glands in tune. That's probably it. I wonder if that's to do with just nodding at each other. And just like,
yeah, I mean, everything triggers something, you know, there's a response within the brain with every action and every movement. And I've actually, you know, I'm sure we've all recognized we do certain things and we don't even know why we did it, but it's almost like telepathically or whatever's going on around us, even etherically, we're picking things up. And so, body seems to respond.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we're going to Rhodan next.
Soul. Window, Rhodan 53. I see you've taken on the mission. This further concludes that you are a true ambassador of peace, as well as your counterparts. I listen to all of you. We've made a few alterations and are more attentive to the species around you. Humanity is not the only one surviving through dire situations. Some things can be altered to alleviate the stress and changes of the solar system. I've been much too rigid in the past and prefer to review all requests that help many species become more harmonious in our future. The Ata, the ones you call the Zeta, are now in the hands of their prime source. Many of the Mantids have made arrangements to exit, but will not do so unless certain agreements are met regarding the safe passage back in time, to also check in with prime source. I'm breaking a covenant I made with a species in undisclosed locations and origins who are proven to be not only unworthy but deceitful. My research has been completed and all species, including humanity, have been fully assessed. Humanity has been lifted of the burden specifically because they have been highly manipulated. This is a proven fact. The other species have been attempting to right their wrongs, and I am allotting them time to do so. Some of the Mantid and Atta were in these agreements with me. Some species were reacting to aggression and should not be interfacing with a higher consciousness species. They will be escorted out to another location and closely observed. All have been assessed and things are being brought to the forefront. Illusion is dropping rapidly, and don't be surprised by what is revealed within the next year. Your history is about to take a change that was never done before. I trust that you will all be able to make decisions beyond that time with much more clarity. It was crucial for you to agree to assisting the mediation between me and Mars. You have won my favour, and I see that much of this will be a good step forward for all.
Rhodan, tell me about the futuristic society that were where the cyborgs were that were caught in a dimension, and the craft was bent and contorted. It was a spacecraft. This is the one that Andronicus encountered a while back through a portal.
That is one of the many leaks in your reality that we needed to assist and step in to resolve. Andronicus sacrificed much on the mission to help everyone, including them. He has now completed the mission, and they have been before me. Some have chosen a human incarnation. Some will be on a base and heavily observed, and some unfortunately had lost their essence completely. This is one society we could not salvage, and we do feel sorrowful about it. Some of you engaged with them, albeit some of them were very angry and did not have benevolent advice. Yet, some of you showed them compassion. Many expressed that to me.
I'm glad to hear we have many different things hovering over us, and it would be nice to hear about a pleasant resolution that comes out of it in the end. Tell me about the Dark Man whose soul jumps from the military body and then walks into the body of the politician.
I'm not prepared to disclose the whereabouts of this being yet, and human souls who are planning the dark oppression to come in. We are still in the process of working on it, one thing at a time. There are so many entanglements and truths and untruths that we must prevent others from suffering. We're watching over you all. Be strong. Cool. Another heavy one from Rhodan.
Yeah.
So, what's this dark man whose soul jumps from the military body? Is this Mr. AC?
AC. The one that was a couple weeks back, and then he describes this being as being he's like a military guy, and then it's almost like an Antichrist type of energy.
Yeah.
Still
like a host
in
body, like the military.
The body's just,
the military person is just a host body to carry it until it's time to step in to an otherwise what was known as a beneficent politician. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a walk-in. I mean, technically, Napoleon, Hitler, they're all walk-ins.
Yeah.
People say, well, let's find them in particular. Yeah, the soul, stepped out, was heavily traumatized or fractured, and then something else steps in.
Yeah.
It's typically what happens.
Yeah, it's like when people say they sold their soul to the devil, right? What that means is that the devil sort of pays the rent and gets them famous because the devil wants to stand on stage in front of all the people.
Right. But needs a body.
It needs a body. And so when people like Beyonce and all these people say, when I step on stage, I'm a different person. Yeah. Too right you are. Okay, so anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, some of them are heavily fractured too, and so they're not even inviting it. They're just so terribly wounded, and we have a lot of people like that. I have plenty of people that come to me that are trying to deal with loved ones that have been wounded because of different things, or themselves had been through traumas. And, as we help to heal each other and we're healing everyone as a group, and we have less of these incidences and less vacant bodies for things to jump into. So just keep that in mind when you're going through stuff and try to help the wounded. Let's see. So we have Borkum next.
Yay. We all like Borkum. Let's see. So, Borkum's there. Gets me in the mood. I'm completing my work with your civilization. Many have fallen off my radar and I can no longer connect. I know they're okay, but I'm still concerned about their state of mind, and it's troubling to me. Speak to me. Don't be a stranger. I am your brother and your friend always. And don't let the talk around you persuade you from your heart. It has been a dark cavern for many. You're not the only one who is suffering. The days and nights are timeless to me. I don't sleep at all anymore. I am in a space without time. I've shown a few of you what that looks like. Tomorrow is a day to remember. It is the dawning of a new era. I was informed by Rhodan to stop the time and make a new alignment. It has been 2,000 years since the last time we did this. Where is it? See what I mean? It's in there somewhere. I definitely got, there we go. The rolling thunder is in the background. I hear the voices of many sages of old. It is a conquest of the millions. Oh, sorry. No, not that one. God, sound effects to me. No, I'm not in my thoughts today. I'm out of my... Right. Tomorrow is a day to remember. It is a dawning of a new era. I was informed by Rhodan to stop the time and make a new alignment. It has been 2,000 years since the last time we did that. The rolling thunder is in the background. I hear the voices of many sages of old. It is a conquest of the millions. Dreams and daydreams of visions are before. All of it seems elusive, without breath, yet full of life. I am as a newborn child and my vision is now clear. My hand reaches for you, your society and your timeline. I see you as brilliant as the sun, rising up from the ashes of oppression. I am lifted, levitating and unburdened. Wipe your tears. We will not let go of you. And it's okay for a man to cry. The pain of the unjust is more than any could bear. I'm sorry for your struggles, but it is never too late to make the shift in time. We are now recognizing the highest potential for humanity as we speak. We are now aligning with what Andronicus suggested for your future paths. This is your crossroad to life eternal, and take it within yourself. It must be within yourself before you can align with the collective. I'm stepping down now. The timeline has been locked in, and I am exuberant that your future has purpose and your species thrive. Now, I'm off to see the wrongdoers surrender. They will determine their own fates.
Wow. Tell me what will happen to the reptilians. They've done a lot of harm, but maybe some are amending their ways.
They were once my soldiers, and I watched them become hijacked and deceived into other agendas when I sent them back. Much of this can be disengaged and alleviated. For the most part, they are choosing to evolve, and this is the best action for them to take. And those who don't will also create another destiny for themselves individually. They can no longer roam as a pack of rogues in the future. I will personally see to that.
Okay, so tell me about the Alpha Draconians, and what is their destiny?
Suma, haven't I told you, you must do your work as well? You know where they belong.
I don't fully understand.
Haven't you been catching them with unruly behavior?
Yes, but I hardly feel equipped to deal with them, and they're spitting venom at me. They're impossible to communicate with.
No, never say impossible, Suma. You will learn to understand their ways in time.
How is this my burden? I don't see how I am connected to them.
You will see, and cut yourself free of this responsibility.
This is frustrating to me. I already have other missions. How do I know this? Or should I not take your task or someone else's? I don't understand.
You will see. I must go now. Tell Kitron he is too close to see. He must pull back and look from a greater perspective. Tell Primus he's doing a wonderful job. I only wish a gulp of mead and a day of conversation with him in time. Maybe we will see this. I'm weary of the disconnect to my brothers. Kitriton is not as angry, but is still very lost. And I appreciate that you reached out to him. You must find what gives him peace, although he is going down the wrong path once again. What to do with Kitriton? I will search again for a solution. Tell me, will all of you reach out to Kitriton once again to regain his trust and send him benevolence and acceptance? I'm very fond of my brother. He seems forever lost.
I'm sure they all will, and I promise to do so, Borkum.
Very well.
Then Borkum closed another door and he was gone. His long black wavy hair floated on his way out.
Oh, everybody's a bit like, it's a bit bittersweet today, isn't it? It's like ending and beginning. Yeah, everybody feels that. But, you know, tomorrow being the beginning of a new era. How about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and also the space that he showed me was really bizarre. It was almost like standing inside of a vortex, and you could see the wind like moving around, but it wasn't like really prominent. It was more like the eye of the storm. Mm-hmm. And there were fragments of like clouds or some kind of non-space. Couldn't really identify what it was. And then it was like little movie screens of different time periods or portals or accesses to things, and you could see scenes like playing out as it was going around him. And so he was saying that was his non-time, where he could look at things, but he was in like what?
Oh, he's in the eye of the vortex. Yeah,
the eye of the vortex. Yeah.
It's Doctor Who. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a Doctor Who fan. That's what he does. That's what the TARDIS is. The TARDIS has the eye of the vortex in it. No man can look upon it. But it's the center of, it becomes a center of time and space. You know, and,
wow.
And so.
I've never watched Doctor Who. I've tried so many times to watch it and it just never, oh my gosh. All right. So he's going into non-time then, or is that?
Yeah, Doctor Who's a Time Lord, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of a race of Time Lords, right? They have two hearts. For some reason. Other people, who else has two hearts? The reptilians have two hearts. Anyway, meanwhile, yeah, so Doctor Who's a time traveler, but he travels in this sort of organic machine that is a shape-changing device intended to look inconspicuous wherever it landed. It's supposed to look like just something ordinary. But the circuit, which is called the chameleon circuit, broke when Doctor Who arrived on Earth. Because that's what happens when you arrive on Earth.
Everything breaks.
Everything you thought you were going to rely on that was like, oh, I got this thing. And I was like, oh, crap.
Well, that's the whole thing, is the challenge, right? To
That's
see what
right.
happens when they get there. And
Yeah. You don't know what it's like down here, boys.
yeah.
So, shall we move on?
Yeah. Let's see. I was going to go to Julian, but I think that for linear thought, it might make sense to have Meetis next, and Meetis doesn't sing today.
No song
Sorry.
from Meetis. Okay.
Hold on a second. There it is. Hold on a second.
I'm holding it. I know that. See, everybody has a note that I
I'm trying
start.
to find it.
Yeah, everyone starts at a note, you see.
Go ahead.
And, Rhodan comes in, and, Andronicus comes in normally, but Meetis comes in from, hello, Flower. You seem a little bit brighter today. Not so melancholy. So, I have wonderful news for you. Dryden and I have come to new agreements. We are now friends. After all of the battles, we have decided to come together as friends. I'm so happy about this.
Really? How did you both come to an agreement?
Well, Dryden went after many who had betrayed his trust. He helped many, but when he arrived, he was despised and discarded. He discovered that he was not being told the truth on many occasions, and many were also not speaking the truth about me. Can you imagine? Me? The Honourable Meetis?
Yes, Meetis. You are honorable when it comes to what you want.
I'm always honourable. Well, with a few exceptions. Well, Tweedledee.
Okay, so continue with your story. What was Dryden's real problem?
He was being told to disarm me, cause me to surrender, bring me to my knees, humble me, torture me, humiliate me. All the sundry things that tyrants do. I said no, and couldn't imagine the atrocities they laid out before. I am here to share my story. You must admit you are not the best at conveying the story and adequately assessing the situation.
Oh, Dryden, don't be so pompous about it. We know that you like to correct always, but give a little leeway here.
Very well. I might add that you look lovely today.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you up to your charming ways, are you, Dryden? Very well, here we go. The lecturer once said, allow me to share the story in its entirety, and then present your questions. Ultimately, your answers will be revealed when the story is fully displayed. A long time ago, predating humanity, there was a challenge that surfaced that would forever change the landscape of the Elven. It was a challenge that if we lost, we would forfeit the hollow earth to another species more cruel, more deceptive, and more vicious than any we had previously encountered. That one day we would offend a group, as the Anunnaki, and they would create this hybrid species to keep us at bay and to threaten our existence if we went too far. This is the reason why they now reside in our space. Our wars became your wars when our species went above the hollow earth and began to intermingle with the human race. We brought our problem with us. This is the first time I have confessed this to anyone. Meetis was already aware of this and was working with our species to assist and prevent the worst from happening. And that is an above-ground invasion of the Alpha Draconians on the human race. Recently, you witnessed the Alpha Draconians above ground in Antarctica. It is beginning to happen. We are disclosing this to you to ask for help. We have been reviled and attacked by other species because we allow this problem to occur, and they do not fully understand the helplessness and dilemma we are in.
Why is everyone asking me to deal with them? You have so much more ability than I have.
Oh, Flower, you don't know your own ability. You have the charms, Flower. Use them. Don't mislead her, Meetis. This is a weighty matter. I must venture off now. We will re-engage in this matter. I thank you for this discussion, your open-mindedness. Many have shunned us for reasons unknown. We suspect the Alpha-Draconian thought process has been infiltrating the thoughts of humanity through unsuspecting artificial intelligence and introducing subsequent mind controls. One veil lifts and another is introduced. It is a never-ending battle. We know this and have experienced it for a very long time. This is what we refer to as tit for tat, a seamless struggle without remedy. Rhodan speaks the truth. I hope to separate myself from this, but this must end somehow. See what you can do, Flower. Farewell, milady. I shall assist you in any effort to assist.
Farewell, Rhodan and Meetis.
Hit a barn door, could I? No. Oh, my fingers are just so inaccurate today. See, the reason I'm doing all the wrong sound effects is because I'm trying to click something on a screen and I'm just like not very accurate with it.
I don't know, it seems to be working.
My hand-eye coordination. It works for you, that's good. It's just oh my God, it's not what it's supposed to be. Anyway, well, whatever. Anyway, meanwhile,
we have Julian. Now, Julian is the mantid, so it's a confession of a mantid. Last week was a confession of a Zeta Reticuli, or they call themselves the Ata. So, I don't know what kind of voice you can come up with this, but, JP.
Here's my collective mind mantid voice. How about that?
Can you go a little deeper maybe, because that sounds more like the Ata.
Yeah, I know.
Or Eric.
Yeah, all right. How about that then? You see, this sounds much more like me.
It sounds too much like you, yeah.
I could
go up a little bit.
go to that. I mean, but that's more like that. You know, that doesn't sound like a mantid at all.
No, it sounds like Kraton or something.
Yeah. See, this is harmony there.
Yeah, that's good. Too high.
One. Okay, so there's an upper third, and there's that one as well. How about that? That's still very much like Eric, isn't it? Yes.
It's very much like Eric.
Eric. And that's too far. No, that's too chipmunk. Far too chipmunk. Oh my God. Trying to find alien voices. You can't get a scarf.
Right there. I think you got it. You got it.
This'll do. Right, okay. Alright, so, hello.
Right. Hello, Julian.
Yeah, my name's Julian, and I've come to humanity from the inception of the collective gathering to design and frame a new species of light. We had coordinated with a sum of 12. 12 species aligned to arrange an agreeable form that brought forward light and hope to us all. We worked on the 12 strands of DNA, each incorporating a gift of abilities that were specific to each group. Some of you have learned to open the keys to hidden knowledge from within. Most of you have been looking for objects, talismans, etc. that only hold a bit of advanced technology. You, my friends, have access to a great wealth of knowledge if you would only unlock your own DNA. This is not through a chemical or substance-based product. It is through a spiritual connection to ascertain the higher knowing and the purpose for you being here. Some of us were here to assist. The greatest scientist of your history connected to us, or others who opened the inner workings of the mind, soul, spirit, and unlocked the DNA. They were there to show you the possibilities of humanity. Most of them believed the information came from the stars. This was not from the direct alignment of the stars, but through the inner gateway within that lead to a direct access point to infinity. Why I am here? My explanation is similar to Siggy. Siggy was apprehensive that he would not be accepted. He confessed, but is still not acknowledged by many. They too, the Ata, have existed for a very long time. Like many of your scientists, there are challenges conveying their thoughts and reasoning for doing things. This is not their strength. I encouraged Siggy to speak for the collective, for his collective, and he reluctantly used the word hive mind. They have been our friends for a very long time. It is our bond of friendship or kinship that was infused into the genome of humanity. This was a gift we also gave you. The concept of family came much later. You don't have a calculation of years to identify when we first arrived and coalesced. Yes, I said arrived, not birthed. It is complex to explain and would create disruptions in your field because often your scientists try to figure out what we do by irresponsibly tampering with the quantum field, as in CERN. This is not your place to alter the reality, and there are very painful repercussions if you do so. Many have taken our technology to create disruptions on other planets. We will allow you to do so, but it will be a painful experience for those concerned in the end. Nothing gets overlooked. There are hidden checks and balances that exist, and we also have to abide by them. This brings me to the next part of my conversation. As a mantid, we take responsibility for the group. You are fortunate you take responsibility. You are fortunate you take responsibility for yourselves. However, your introduction into the galactic field makes you more responsible for your entire species. When a group entered Mars, you brought in a galactic problem for the entire Earth plane. The Dark Ones lured you into this as an opportunity, knowing the great dilemma you would be in and the potential to make you forfeit your rights on the planet. By having you forfeit some of your rights because of infractions on another planet, they were able to assert more power on your planet. Some of this even happened on the lunar surface. Fortunately, it was predominantly the Ata living there, and they do not hold humanity for infractions, as they know they are participants on Earth as well. The beings on Mars, not exclusively Mars himself, but also many other species who had migrated there with permission, had taken exception to a human invasion, as it was told. Some of the species on Mars had then entered the field of humanity and created problems and conflict. This introduced added problems to already existing problems between your own races and cultures, as well as inner Earth species. Still, returning back to my cause for speaking to you today, I am alone, awake and concerned. I have done what I can to help humanity to counterbalance some of the very negative things that some of my fellow mantids have done on your planet. I am concerned that what I have done to bring to light and awaken humanity with regarding hidden agendas, human violations against the innocent, including children, hidden agendas regarding wars. I have stealthily asserted myself in ways that any human would be murdered for. I am not fearful. I have my abilities to bend time and space to escape any major trauma. Many have been frustrated by us not realizing that we are hyperdimensional. That is not a term commonly used. By not realizing we are hypodimensional. That is not a term commonly used, but we have various access points and entry points that you could never image. As I said, we know your field and the universal field as ancient residents. You cannot capture us. You will never be able to subdue us. You are not capable of fully harming us. We are untouchable, but more benevolent than you realize. You must also realize that some of the species you are opposed to are also connected to your DNA. The darker ones created rifts between your galactic parents and siblings. Begin to re-evaluate who aligns with your truth and who doesn't. Many have had back experiences with different species, yet many have not revealed what infractions they have created in the first place.
You were mentioning that we have done certain things to other species that introduce problems into our experience. Can you explain to me what the problems are with the Dark Ones?
The Dark Ones have multiplied. There have been experiments that have created an environment for them to match the size of your population. They have done this by hijacking your youth and child abuse. The horrendous act upon children has enabled them to infuse anomalies into them and then later create children with them. It is a hybrid race of species. We are capable of closing some of these doors to stop it. We are in the process of informing you of these type of activities that have been going on for ages. Now it is the time to identify what species each came from. The Dark Ones will be learned. The Dark Ones will be brought to a place of learning. Some of them will be brought to the primordial... Some of them will be brought to the primordial entry for recycling. Others will be dismissed energetically without remedy. Those are the ones who had repeated infractions without reform. This is the guideline of the universe. We are the assessors, not the implementers. The child souls who suffered and adult human souls will be brought to a place of healing and nurturing. If they have entanglements with the negative, that too will be extracted and removed. We have made an ultimate and unanimous decision that some of the negative hybrid species will no longer have a timeline of existence in the future. This is the end of the road, and because of your openness to learn, many of them are ceasing to exist as we speak.
Thank you for answering my questions, and also thank you for allowing me to assist in the process. Will you return to Source as the Atta are doing?
Not at this time. We would like to work with humanity to amend and assist the next progression of realization and awakening. I will speak to you again. Julian.
Okay.
Beep.
Yeah, so, Julian, he also said something to me that, another mantid, or influence of the mantid was on Gene Roddenberry, the one who started, Star Trek.
Star Trek, yeah.
Star Trek, yeah.
Interesting. So,
that's where they got all the stories, right?
Yeah, probably got all the stories and the different races. I mean, his construction of these races are really brilliant. Like the Andorians, the guys with the blue skin, the white hair and the little antennae.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he talks about, I think he's referring to the Council of 12 here, Julian.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I couldn't help but think of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks in this one.
Indeed.
So, but I don't know. I'm not saying that this is Julian Assange. Just to clarify that for anyone listening. But there are influences, and I thought it was an unusual name.
So, should we have a little break?
Let's take a little break, and I don't know, maybe I was thinking of the song Thunder.
All right. Thunder?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I'm trying to think of it. Can't even think of the name right now.
Uh-huh.
Where are those people out there that know the music?
Hang on, Thunderstorm, W&W.
I can't even think of their... Alright, well, whatever you feel like you want to put on there.
Oh, look, space, yellow, the YouTube advert that just came over was a great big UFO. So it's just very...
Oh.
Is this it? This is called Thunder. Anyway. There we go.
Okay, so we're going to be bringing in, James Rink.
Yep, after the
So
bill.
stay tuned.
Yep, we're back.
Yes. I don't know if, we're waiting for James Rink to connect with us.
Right, so let's bring in James and see,
okay.
There we go. It's a good call.
Yeah, so
that was, that probably wasn't what you thought, but, it was quite fun. I haven't played any dubstep for a while. Well, it's not really, it's a bit disco. Anyway. There we
Hello.
go. Hello, James. How are you?
Hello, James.
Good. How are you? JP?
Yes,
hey.
Indeed.
Jessica? Hi.
Hello, James.
Am I live?
You're live.
You are live.
As ever you will be.
Okay, so, yeah, from the top, where should we even begin?
Let's start with you. Tell people, where they can listen in to your show, what you do, and then we can start from there.
Sure, yeah, my name is James Rink, and I am a super soldier. I also live a double life, a civilian life, as a meditation practitioner. One of my websites is neologicaltech.com, where I manufacture and sell meditation tools. I also have another website where it's another interest of mine, supersoldiertalk.com, where we explore the Mill Lab phenomenon, as well as the Secret Space Program, Monarch Program.
That was JP. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, and so, go check that out, supersoldiertalk.com, and I interviewed many different guests. Some are super soldiers, some aren't, and the ones that aren't, we always try to explore the transhumanism, agenda as well, cybernization. Typically super soldiers aren't called super soldiers, actually called cyborgs, but, for the sake of, the listeners, we'll just call them super soldiers for the time being, but, and they're also called I just learned they're also called light warriors. So, people out there who are into super soldiers and call themselves a light warrior, in the other parallel reality where the Nazis won World War II, they refer to all their super soldiers as light warriors. So if you, like to call yourself a light warrior, chances are you're probably a super soldier in that timeline. And it's just a bleed through. Whether or not you believe me or not is up to you. But that interview, with Peter will be out shortly. And of course, we're going to explore some of what Peter has shared about, Trump. I'm assuming, is that what this show is about?
Yeah. Well, we could talk a little bit about that. We'll say Peter is, you're referring to Peter Berger, who is, the insider, Peter the Insider from the ACIO.
Correct.
So just so people know who you're speaking about.
Yes, I have about 18 interviews with Peter so far. And
some with me and with the three of us.
That's right. Yeah. That's true. And, I'm always trying to add more, people to the mix, because I find it a lot more interesting when we have more perspectives brought to the plate. And certainly that's what we're going to do today. Now what I've actually done is compiled a short list of some interesting little tidbits about Donald Trump, and just different articles I pulled up, just a little a sentence or here or there. And I thought I'll just read some of this, and we can just you and I, we can just comment about it, what you think might be going on.
Yeah, I mean, with everything happening tomorrow, this might be a good topic, and if people have any questions,
okay.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, so positive news, it appears Trump has kicked the mainstream media out of the White House. Have you heard of this story, Jessica?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Or that he's opening it up to other alternative media, including bloggers and others that weren't typically allowed in the White House.
Right. So I think that's positive. I think the excuse that he was running was that the press room at the White House only holds 50 people, so only select members of the mainstream media was allowed to attend, and that allows them to basically spin stories into their own narrative and control the minds of millions, if not billions, of people. So what they're doing is opening up the a room where they'll be able to bring in 500 to 600 alternative news medias, people, maybe even like Alex Jones, bloggers, daily basically the alternative press. So it would be curious to see how that works out. Maybe he'll put the mainstream media at the back of the room while the alternative press is put at the front. I think that might be the end of some of these corporations, because they've been given a monopoly over the reporting in this country for so long. Okay, so moving on here. Is there any comments you want to make about that, Jessica?
No, I'm in agreement, and I think it's good for, things to really open up. And, we as, a part of this nation, American citizens should all be very vocal and feel like you have a voice. And so it's for everyone. And so, I think it's positive that he is opening up to others.
Yeah, maybe somebody could ask him about the secret space program or some of the other more controversial topics like super soldiers and so on.
Yeah, I think it should be, as people are becoming more aware. Right.
Okay, so moving on here, I don't know how many people hold any credence to Benjamin Fulford, but this is something that he wrote in a recent report, and he states here that make no mistake, the Trump presidency is a second American revolution, and it will deeply affect the operations of the international secret rogue government. Russian intelligence operatives contacted the White Dragon Society last week to seek reassurance that the Trump presidency will go ahead as planned. They were told by White Dragon Society representatives that Trump was not going to be another assassinated leader like Kennedy, because unlike Kennedy, Trump has the backing of the U.S. military. And what the Pentagon sources had to say about the matter is, quote, CIA plot to whack Trump is unlikely since the military has read them the Riot Act. So, I don't know. Jessica, do you know what the Riot Act is? We might have to look that one up.
Maybe JP knows.
All right, yeah, to read the Riot Act.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, I have a very, my father-in-law, when I was married, my father-in-law was a brigadier in the British Army. And, he lived in this house in Wantage in Oxfordshire. And he said, this was the last place that the Riot Act was ever read in Britain. Basically it's like to read the Riot Act means we're just about to open fire on you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's what the term means. It means to, basically this is your last warning. Okay. That's what the Riot Act is.
Yeah. It certainly seems like there's a lot of discontent amongst their own ranks within the intelligence agencies, which I think is good because, it shows that a lot of these people realize we've been lied to so long, and even they've been lied to, and I think they can't do their job under this cloud of secrecy. But going on here, he says there are no Geneva Conventions for domestic enemies of the state, and military justice is swift and lethal. So that's why Trump probably won't be assassinated, which is good. And it goes on here and says, in any case, what is happening in the world is not about Donald Trump. He's one aspect of a historical revolution. And the revolution began when the British vote to exit the EU took a further step with the election of Trump, and that is now headed for a Frexit, or a French EU exit, as French presidential hopeful Marine Le Pen, I hope I said that right, met with Trump last week in New York. It appears, I guess it looks like the EU is falling apart. I guess, does anybody want to make a comment about that? Brexit?
Okay, well, this is coming from a European contingent. There we go, JP. You were involved in this conversation.
Good bloody riddance, as we say in Britain. If anybody knows about the EU, it's essentially the same plan as what Hitler had. So it's not far away from that parallel dimensional universe of the, being, what do they call it? The Lebensraum or something? I don't know, German. Anyway. But the idea that they would have the control of the world, and, presumably in that parallel dimension, that's also breaking down. Their world is breaking down. Is that correct, James? Or are they going strong in their magical little time loop?
I definitely think we're going to 5D Earth, and there's probably frequencies that are coming on surrounding this planet, probably from the galactic central sun, that is altering the frequency of everybody here to help them become awake and aware. And that's why all this mind control technology and this the femto nights, the chemtrails, and all this is being done to us to lower the frequency. But it doesn't appear it's going to stop what's happening, because we can certainly talk about time travelers and all that, because I wanted to bring that up in just a bit, but
we also have Monarch Solutions too, James, and so I don't know if that's something that's kind of still in power or the alternate Nazi reality.
Okay. Well, here's something negative about Trump. Well, maybe not negative, so negative, but maybe I don't even know if it really matters too much. But according to Russian FSB sources, and I'm not sure what FSB is, so I guess that's their intelligence agency.
That's their FBI. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the FSB stands for, is what I meant to say. But, for their part, it says here, we were able to confirm that when Donald Trump visited Russia in 2013, he was offered the chance to sleep in the same hotel room that Barack and Michelle Obama slept in. And then it says, quote, everything is bugged and recorded in all the hotel rooms around Red Square in Moscow, says an FSB source who confirms video was recorded of Trump getting prostitutes to urinate on the bed the Obamas had slept in. At the same time, he did not think he was going to become president, so he did not care. And the source, who operates a security firm for VIPs in Russia, claims to have a copy of the recording. However, Russians point out that he did nothing illegal and was never blackmailed by them by this incident. So Trump, for his part, has already announced his first overseas visit will be to Russia to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So, anybody want to comment about that?
Oh yeah, that's a beauty.
That sounds like a little dirty mess there, but
yeah, it sounds like Trump just like said, oh, we can give you the same bed as the President of the States.
Yeah.
We thought we'd give you an honor, and he thought, right, okay, I'll give you that. I'll take that, and I'll just, he pranked it. He pranked it because he can be spiteful, but, it was actually not illegal. It's not illegal to get someone to be.
Some of the people in the chat room don't believe the story, but you never know. People, a lot of the stuff is sort of,
well, you see there's this whole thing.
Behavior.
Yeah, exactly. It's varsity. It's juvenile. And, there's also, this weird thing they call the golden shower. But that's the story. You see, there's two stories running. There's this, like, the golden shower was like, they were getting, he was getting the girls to pee on him, but that's not the case. He just got them to pee on the bed.
Yeah. Well, I'm in agreement with you, Jake.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong here. Maybe it just shows you the type of personality we can expect to run our government.
Exactly. He's so off the wall. He's really off the wall. He says things you don't expect anybody to say. And sometimes they're really outrageous. Sometimes you wish he didn't say it. But there are other things that, man, he spoke from the heart and he touched me there. So many times he's like literally touched me with his spontaneous speech. And that's something. And I get this incredible feeling of joy and almost tears to my eyes when I think about that Trump's kind of grabbed this dragon by the neck.
Right. Okay, so, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Please, because we do forfeit anyway.
I'm so curious
okay.
if you could speak a little bit about, Monarch. Where's Monarch at and its impact on our society today? Do you have any, measurement on that?
Well, apparently, Monarch Solutions is in charge of the chemtrailing on this planet and basically anything and everything that's bad, such as they want to do an EMP strike, a selective EMP strike within the United States, and I'm fairly confident parts of Europe as well, that will basically destroy sections of the grid. I believe mostly communication technologies. Probably all your cell phones are going to be fried. And then they want to steal everybody's data off their computers and their cell phones prior to the grid going down, because I think there's some rules or laws that allows them to do that legally. I'm not quite sure how they figured that out, but, the goal is, if the power grid goes out, then, the super soldier army is going to be brought forward. A clone army of about 200 to 300 million super soldiers is being generated in underground bases around the world as we speak, and most of them right now they're in stasis. They've already finished the manufacture, I believe. I don't know if they're making any more. I think they slowed down production, but essentially the different the mill lab, what you would call military contractors that work for, they work in conjunction with DARPA. DARPA has some access to the technologies, but basically this is mostly what Mill Labs is. And there's certain, and of course Monarch Solutions is a component of Mill Labs, but, some of these Nazi military contractors are trying to bring about more positive side. And so the head of this group of, conglomerates of contractors, his name is Lincoln Clay, and he is in charge of this army that will be brought out to the public, and essentially when the power grid goes out, they will come in and release any kind of because FEMA is going to round up people and give them poisoned food, people that are too stupid to or not really stupid, they're not educated. I guess you can call them, maybe we'll call them stupid. I don't know. People that don't want to do the research and educate themselves and want to believe what the government tells them, they're gonna go eat the food that FEMA offers, and it's poisoned. And, so these super soldiers are gonna go into these camps and, release femto technology, and I believe if the bodies haven't been too decomposed, I think it's maybe 3 to 5 days. I'm not quite sure what the number is. They can reanimate the dead. So, they're gonna find a bunch of, dead people coming back, and, so the poisoned food isn't gonna do much good. And they're also gonna be able to manufacture food. They'll have 3D replication technology, and they'll be able to get the power grid up quite fast. They have some vacuum tube technology, and they're going to go in and get the electric grid up and running. Although I think your devices are going to be fried, but at least we won't starve.
So we're hoping that this is a timeline that we're averting, not that we have to experience. Well, because when was this scheduled to happen? Wasn't it already supposed to have come to pass about a month ago or so?
I think it was a 90% chance the beginning of November over the next 3 months. So yeah, so if
we're still in that hot spot.
Yeah, if we get to February, then basically, I suppose we're at that 10% chance. I don't know if you even believe some of the stories of these people, but
it's not whether we believe or not, right, James? It's more or less that there's so many different potentials of things to happen unless we do something and make those changes and lift consciously, right? To defray some of that.
Okay. Yeah, so right now everything's just in waiting. Time travelers from the future. Actually, somebody posted an interesting comment. Now, I've been talking a little bit about John Titor, the new one who has the new book out called Disclosed, which I recommend listeners pick up off of Amazon. And somebody commented that basically the timelines show that Hillary Clinton was supposed to win. She was the chosen candidate. The voting machines were rigged for her to get the vote. And then what happened is time travelers from our future, okay, let me explain. When Hillary was elected, she put a lot of pressure on Iran and Israel, I guess more likely Iran. And Iran in return loaded 4 planes with nuclear bombs that mimicked the signal of the transponder, so they could just fly right into the United States. They delivered a payload over Washington D.C., London, Paris, and Tel Aviv. And in return, when those bombs were detonated, the United States turned Iran into a dust bowl, which pissed off Putin. And then because of treaties they've had of Iran, so Putin basically leveled the United States. 150 million people were dead within 12 hours in the United States alone. So World War III took place sometime in January 2018. And what happened is 30 years into that future timeline, the planet was about 30 degrees warmer, and that's when, because he was traveling through his TR3B. John Titor.
Yes,
I'm
John
sorry,
Titor.
I don't know if it's a TR3B because that's actually the old techno. A lot of people say it's TR3Bs, and I just want to comment that they're on the G level right now, TR3G. So I'm not quite sure what level craft he's on. And if you were to ask me what the difference was, I couldn't tell you that. But that's a good question to explore that. I don't know.
Maybe they put that in there because at the time that was what they could identify with.
Oh, well, that's
but it might be a more advanced one.
It was the latest. It went Tier 3A, Tier 3B, Tier 3C, and so on. To now we're at G level. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that. But, so that those crafts had not only the ability to travel Mach 40 or whatever it was, I believe, it can also travel through time. So they went to 2050 and they traveled to Atlanta. And so that's when, they went on the internet to figure out what happened, what was left of the internet. And essentially, the planet was 30 degrees warmer because all of the radiation destroyed the carbon cycle in the oceans. So the planet was overheating, and the ice caps melted. Florida was gone. The oceans were 100 feet higher, 150 feet higher. I'm sorry, and there was chaos. Basically, the rich were all living in small communities, and everything else was just gangs controlling everything. The military gave up on trying to help people anymore. It was just basically their survival. And then going forward another 70 years or so to about 2100, the whole planet just burned up because the radiation was just so severe. So what's going on is that time travels from that timeline came back to our time, and they started leaking information about Hillary Clinton, the Pizzagate and pedophile gate, as well as a lot of stuff was going on with the Clinton Foundation. So it was through those leaks that is what basically caused so much outrage that so many people voted for Trump. So what's going on is that George Soros and his group were trying to, who own I believe they own his through his conglomerates own the Diebold voting machines, and so they already promised the election for Hillary, and she was supposed to get it, but statistically speaking, they can only cook so many votes. And if you actually look at a voter map of the United States, you can see a sea of red votes for Trump. And just in the cities or a few counties, it's Hillary Clinton. So it appears they were targeting certain counties, and they thought that would be good enough, but apparently it wasn't. So, Hillary Clinton lost the vote. And that's why we have Trump. Now actually I want to give an opportunity for Jessica or JP to comment at this time, if there's anything you want to ask or throw out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I've seen a few different potentials already as far as timelines. And, the first time I realized I was stepping into these timelines and future events is when, I was doing a series of future, like writing things down of what I saw was happening in the future in different timelines. And then one of them coincided exactly with what Al Bielek was talking about from one of his future journeys when he did as a time traveler. And so I started to become aware of the fact that I could have some access to it, but also that there are parallels to our reality. There there are different changes in shifts. And Andronicus, who I hear from frequently, he reminded me that we can create the highest potential for humanity, which would exclude some of these catastrophic events. And so the having individuals like John Teeter, who I actually absolutely adore and I see as a hero for humanity, and there's others that have also done the same to try to change our future events and help inform people, or as many people right now are into disclosure, and whether a person realizes it or believes in some of the stuff, or it sounds a little fantastic or not. I think that the ultimate attempt is to awaken people, and even if you agree or disagree, but to awaken and start doing your own research and shift the way your thinking is leading down the timeline of destruction for humanity. So that's why we're talking about some of this stuff. There are many potentials, and some of them we've come very close to. It's almost like razor sharp, walking a tightrope with the whole incident of the grid going down. I know that there are a few others that have been talking about the grid being shut down, and so far it hasn't happened. And I really hope that there are safeguards and other modules somewhere that can prevent it on a localized level, so it isn't just all in one. Hopefully they're sensible enough not to put it on just one grid or one satellite, and that there's backups and so forth. But technically it would hurt humanity. I know people said that we need to do this in order to take down the cabal and all that, but I think we've suffered enough, and us not communicating would be really, really hard. And it would prevent the shifting in the way that everything should go.
Agreed. Well,
yeah.
Can you comment about the Alex Bielek timeline? I believe he went to the year 2200, and he said that people started dropping. I don't know if they dropped dead. It was more like babies stopped being born. Like the fertile rate dropped 99%, almost to the point where hardly any children were being born. Is that what you're referring to, Jessica?
The timeline that I saw was a timeline where he said everyone was required to work. And there was, even him as a time traveler was assigned a task to do. And so people, the whole welfare concept, it wasn't such a thing. It was really strange when I saw into this future event. I could actually hear the voice saying, if you do not participate, you don't belong in this society. You have no purpose. And it was really, sounded off to me in a very prominent way. And I thought about, the early civilizations where people are sitting around in a group and, one hunts and one gathers and someone builds the fire. Everyone has to do something, and if they don't, they're not contributing. And so it was almost like a lesson in that, and also the big screen, and sort of it's like a big brother, but it's not really oppressive. It's just highly organized and very. It seemed much more harmonious, but there was tasks and things going on. I don't recall the part about the children, but yeah, there's almost like a point of you've. Maybe the lifespan was longer, so that wasn't necessary to procreate, or there was some other reasons, but it wasn't like a punishment. It didn't feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Certainly. Okay. So at this point, what I like to do is comment about somebody who claims to have some information from a time traveler. Whether or not this is true, I don't know, but now they're saying that. Of course, now that Trump is our president, he says here, I was directly involved with respect to the election, and it was Gaia that disallowed the rigged machines from processing a win for Hillary. We were visited by a time traveler. It is true, but she did nothing but provide intel on the outcome of Hillary winning, and that was what she thought would start World War III. Therefore, it was changed to a true outcome. This is why the mass media was stunned, as they were speechless, knowing what should have been and what they were programmed to say. The same time traveler came back again from the year 2036, and we asked how it was then after Trump being in, and she said World War III still took place, and humanity was virtually wiped out by the Draco controllers, who also have time travel ability through DNA helix manipulation.
Yes.
Fact.
Yes.
The time traveler was the real John Titor student. We are working again to change the future from disaster. This proves is that when you make changes, there are serious consequences. Stay tuned. So, what do you think, Jessica? Are we on course for World War III, despite the fact that Hillary was not elected?
Well, there's many different paths that bring us down that road, and I say that the advent or the pre World War III is something that can happen on many different timelines. It's more or less it's a crossroad. It's a crossroad of either we choose one direction of harmony and awakening, or we choose the other direction of warfare, continuation of how our civilization continues to destroy civilization one after another. We've, that consciousness, created floods, created catastrophic events on the planet. And so these things have been going on for a while. It is still a potential, and I just talked about the Alpha Draconians, and actually had an encounter with one recently where I had a vision, and I was able to see, I was looking at Antarctica, and I saw a clean room where there was some kind of infection, and the Nazis who were based over there were trying to clear something. They were all wearing white coats, medical coats, and kind of whatever they were doing. They were analyzing body parts to extract whatever the virus was. In the process of doing that, there was an attack of the Alpha Draconians, and I could see them, and they were very intimidating. And I observed how they behaved, and one of the first things that they did was they started to spit out this venom, and which seemed to react like almost like an acid, and the people were horrified of it. Then they used, the Nazis used this is the Nazis based over in Antarctica, and they used some kind of technology that created, water and bringing, freezing the Alpha Draconians in the spot, just to stop them from coming forward. But I'll never forget the look in their eyes, which is, kind of immobilizing for me, and I wasn't physically there, but was apparently remote viewing. The part of what I found out today through the channeling is that the Alpha Draconians were actually created by the Anunnaki as hybrid species, and they were there to take over and control, dominate the Hollow Earth. They haven't done that, but they've created quite a mess, and especially the species that referred to as the Elven or the Tuatadanan. There's a few different names for them, but they've been there well before. Maybe some people call them another name like Lemurians or something like that, or I know that the Telosians, the Agarthans are all there. So anyhow, they said that they have prevented the Alpha Draconians from actually coming on above Earth, so in our Earth plane, which would be a horrifying event. It would be very, very scary if you saw these things. And so they're trying to work on that. So to bring on World War III, absolutely. And I believe everything that they said about the Alpha Draconians and their capacity is very true. So now the question is how to prevent this from happening, which actually coincides very much with what the channeling was today.
Well, maybe what needs to take place is amnesty. So they don't burn the house down with them and of everybody else in it with them, because they know they must know that they're already finished. So if we offer them amnesty, they won't burn the house down. and it might humanity might have a chance of survival. And it's it's hard to talk about that considering all the atrocities that have taken place. But sometimes, there might be a bigger picture. Something is more important right now, the survival of humanity, because, there's so many, like you said, there's so many timelines. I mean, there are some reports coming back saying that Gaia is about ready to go through an abortion period of humanity where it wants to be free of humans on the planet for 500 years so it can heal itself. Now, that means humans are probably going to go into inner Earth, but I like to think we can allow the goodness to take place before, any cataclysms and humanity can survive and not just be aborted by Gaia, essentially. And I don't think it's fair that humans pay for the sins of if you want to call them sins, the deeds of these Dracos and Anunnakis and probably maybe Archons controlling the Monarch Solutions groups and Massive Dynamics and all these folks. But I do want to comment that Peter says that time travelers have contacted him through the ACAO and told him we are on a positive timeline without nuclear war and indeed headed to 5D Earth.
Oh, so, that's positive. That's very, very positive.
So I like to believe that.
Yeah, you know what? We can agree. We can agree that that's the one that we accept. That's right. And we are making those decisions as a collective. And for those that don't understand, we can hold the space for them and help them to understand it. But I'm sure all will agree that that's what we want ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah. So what about Kruger? What's going on with Kruger?
Well, Kruger is a Nazi military contractor that makes super soldiers. And from what I'm able to gather from Peter, they are from a parallel Earth that, they fed the Nazis advanced technology from a parallel Earth where the Nazis weren't as negative as they were in this reality. Apparently Kruger is trying to bring about positive, although they still take the mill labs, they take people and subject them to trauma and VR, virtual reality type scenarios and make alters, split them all up and, clones and all this. So, it's hard to say, are they really good? But, if it wasn't really for Kruger and some of these positive groups, we probably would have, these cataclysms by now. And, I don't really have any updates on what Kruger is working on other than what I told you through, what Lincoln Clay is doing, but that isn't necessarily Kruger. That's a group of Nazi military contractors, which includes Kruger. There are a few other ones like, Ultimate and, Shoreline.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Shoreline is the other.
Yeah, Shoreline is responsible for base security at Area 51. And, that is the group where I'm associated with. I have a clone down there. He's about, 10 foot tall. He, has, his left eye is heat seeking infrared. There's a device put over his eye and then he has a triangle tattoo with a swastika on it. So I'm not quite sure what they're doing to that thing, but, I guess me if you were to call it me.
You might want to know in case you're responsible for his actions. Yeah, cloning. Yeah. What do you think about that, JP? He has his own clone. I wonder if they've done that. Peter told me there's clones of me somewhere as well.
Well, I asked my guides about that, and they said, yeah, there's clones of me, but I'm not in them.
Right, that's true.
So no matter what kind of questioning they might ask them, I'm not there. Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah. I don't think I'm in them either.
Does that concur with what you've learned, James? I think we need to have a chat one day offline 'Cause, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, James is privy to a lot of stuff, and I mean, people, Peter Berger also has a wealth of information and could really be helpful, but I think people, have to be open, and he's very direct, and, it's hard, like some people say, you don't have to use fear to bring this stuff in. It's just more or less just laying it on the table. And there's no fear involved, because if we can unearth it and present it, then it's less scary. It's like, showing the child, let's open up the closet door, there's no boogeyman in there. Yeah, there might be an essence or an energy in the space, but even when I started seeing visions, when I was younger, at first I used to be terrified. And even still, I mean, the Alpha Draconians are very intimidating, but for the most part, once you start to interact and communicate, and you understand what's going on, then you say, well, there's no fear there anymore. It's just an understanding. And so likewise, for unearthing all this information and having a discussion about it helps us to better look at it and not have any apprehension moving forward, because then we're fully informed. And information is valuable and it's key in helping us to make decisions.
Okay. I'd like to comment on, actually, this is another clip of information I got from Rumor Mill News, and this is a bullet list of things that we can do to stop the cabal from taking over America, and this is basically what they're suggesting Trump would do. Whether or not he actually would, and I don't know, but number one is investigate George Herbert Walker Bush for the JFK assassination and the Reagan assassination as well, I believe. John Hinckley was friends with Herbert Walker Bush, who worked for the CIA at that time, and I think that was 1981. The USSR collapse, I'm not sure what that's about, what they're relating to here, but of course 9/11 and oil and gold theft, Iraq wars, and Riggs bank fraud. I'm not sure what that one's about. If anybody wants to comment about that, go ahead. But number two is dissolve Office of Director of National Intelligence and repeal the Patriot Act and NDAA, along with Obama's additions to it. In NSA surveillance, dissolve DARPA, like that's going to happen. NQTEL, I'm not sure what that one means. The CFR and the Highlands Forum. Try Obama and Clinton for war crimes. Investigate George W. Bush Jr. And I think Bush Jr. was more of a puppet. He was just going along with his father's agenda, but he should be investigated. 7, close all companies with CIA affiliations. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Number 8 is seize gold, stolen gold, and return it to Spain, China, Germany, France, Japan, and Russia, and the United States as well. I don't know why they didn't put the U.S. on that list. A lot of our gold was stolen too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it goes on here, says, should something happen to Trump, the military is ready to attack Washington and take over the government and restore America. They are on a massive troop alert and waiting. And it goes on, it says here, about 2 weeks ago, 2 ships loaded with 300 Cabal operatives on each ship were trying to escape to South America, and Russian jet fighters attacked them, sinking both ships and killing all 600 Cabal members. And I don't know if anybody can confirm that. I've not heard that story anywhere else but here. And it goes on, it says here, if you see a cloud in the sky all by itself, there's a 90% chance that it is hiding an alien cloaked ship. Our planet is surrounded with hundreds of ships who are aiding us in ridding the planet of these Cabal monsters. And lastly, it says, newly run computer programs still estimate that when the event is over, I guess they're referring what Cobra is talking about, the event, millions of unawakened Earthlings will commit suicide. This is how the state of mind is in some countries in the world. The U.S. also has its share of these poor souls, and the event is basically first contact event, the ETs showing themselves. So, I don't know, where should we begin on this? Is anybody like to throw something out? Comment about this?
Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. I just want to say we had a conversation last night that I'll be playing again after the break, which is the Kent Dunn info, which is pretty current, actually. It's very nice. Essentially, very similar message, James, is that we're not out of the woods, but we're certainly out of the storm.
Right. I agree. Well, thank you, JP, and thank you, Jessica. Again, visit supersoldiertalk.com and neologicaltech.com to learn more about the work I do. And and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today.
Well, thank you, James, and I appreciate your visit, and I hope that you come back again. Also, I wanted to let anyone know that, if some of this conversation, it's not typical for my show. If we got into subjects that were offensive, or you don't understand, please just bear with us and allow the information to come through. We'll process it through. But we're looking for safety, protection, love, and peace in our planet. Let's not have let's find the highest potential for humanity in all things. And we love you all. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week. James, please come back again.
We came from the future.